going to take a look at how to build a Google Classroom. So if I'm starting in my mail, I come over to the waffle and I select Classroom. From here I go to the plus and I create a class. I can add the section, the subject, the room number if I choose to. I'm just going to click on Create. Behind me is the dashboard where all of your classrooms would live. And this goes for any class you belong to or any class that you have created. Once it's created, I have three main tabs. I have what's called the stream. This is where I can post announcements. I have a classwork tab, and this is where I can create assignments, ask questions, and post related materials. And then I have the people tab, which is where I would have my list of students. So to get students into Google Classroom creates this code that I would share with the kids. So they would go to either the Classroom app or classroom.google.com and sign into their school email. And from there, I can show them the code. So where we clicked plus to create a class, they click plus and join a class and put the code in. Once they have joined your classroom, they show up under people. So if I wanted to add an announcement, I would click here. Notice if I have more than one class, which I do, if I wanted to put the same announcement out to multiple classes, I would just check the boxes of the classes I want them to go to. By default, all of my announcements go to all of my students, but if I had students in here, I could click here and select just the ones I wanted it to go to. And I could type my announcement here. I have the ability to link any file using Google Drive in here. I have the ability to add a YouTube video or a link. So this is basically a place to post announcements. In the classwork section, I would click on Create, and let's create an assignment. So I want to put out the sample assignment. And I can select a due date if I want to. I can select a time. This topic concept comes in very handy because this list of classwork can get very lengthy. Topics give you a way to organize it. So let's say this has to do with homework, or it could be chapter 1, or it could be vocabulary, whatever the topic is. And I'm going to put some sample instructions in here. If I'm using this for grading, I can assign a point value to it. But let's say I wanted to attach a Google Doc. I created for lack of a better term, a worksheet that I want the kids to fill out. So I can come over here. I have to have created the document ahead of time. I find the document I want to add, and I add it. This is crucial. By default, students can only see that document. I can make it so that they can edit the file, which means every student in my class is working on the same exact document. That comes in handy with slide presentations where you might be assigning a few slides to certain children, but you have one big presentation for the end product, but most of the time you'll probably make a copy for each student. So what this does is it will assign that document to each student and attach the student's name to it so that when it comes back, I see that the name is there. I have the ability to assign it now, schedule it for a later date, or save it as a draft. So I'm going to assign it. I can put forms in here. I can put anything in here. If I were to create a question, this is great for discussion points. So I can ask my question. I can assign a point value if I choose to, a due date, etc. I can attach the same types of things to it. I can make it so they can reply to each other or they can't. And I can make it so that they can edit their answer or they can't. By default, students have to type their response before they can read what anyone else has written. If you leave it so they can edit their answer, Just know that they could type any letter in there in the field and then submit, go back and read what everyone's written, and then go back and change their answer. So it really depends on how you want to use this. So I click Ask when I'm ready to ask it, and notice I get the same options to schedule or save a draft. In future videos, we're going to talk about how